I think it's going to change the world as we know it.
Yes. I don't know where this goes.
Yeah, the like dystopian sci-fi that Hollywood has prophesized for years.
Like if you think about the time and effort that will save humanity in terms of analyzing huge data sets.
Yes.
And then simplifying that into insights, answers to questions that would have taken us. Who knows, man?
It's going to make a lot of things obsolete.
Imagine when we're on ChatGPT 10.
Probably one of the funniest things I've seen in the most recent years. And the most cringiest is these online dating coaches that seems to be a game of like manipulation and
psychological warfare. Becoming a better person that is more attractive to women. There is some value in that. I just hate the way it's packaged.
What about dating apps then?
Do you know what? I'm so glad I missed it.
And I'm like, you're selling your soul, brother. Like, this is not you, boy. I work in a charity shop on Saturdays. I was like, boy.
I see him at the pub.
He's doing community service, mate. That's why he's in a charity shop. He's just been let out of the nick.
So have you heard about ChatGPT now?
I have, mate, yeah.
So, little spiel on what it is. So, ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence chatbot developed by OpenAI and launched in November 2022. It's built on top of OpenAI's GPT 3.5 and GPT-4 families of large language models, which has been fine-tuned using both supervised and reinforced learning. So I think the large language model and the supervised learning, I think what they do is to train the technology is they will feed it a load of questions, and then humans have to sit and rate the answers. And based on how they rate the answers, the software learns to improve its answering capabilities. So that's how they kind of train these AI bots. And then large language model, it says, is it generally refers to deep learning models having a parameter count on the order of billions or more. They're general purpose models which excel at a wide range of tasks as opposed to being trained for one specific task. Like, I don't know if you remember, there was the first AI bot that was trained to play chess. And that was all it was trained to do. So like that's specific, whereas this is like a general, it learns to do more than one task. Though trained on simple tasks along the lines of predicting the next word in a sentence, neural language models with sufficient trainings and parameter counts are found to capture much of the syntax of semantics of human language.
Yeah. It's a lot, isn't it? I actually remember that first chat, the AI robot you're talking about with the chess. You can watch a video on it, and there's people like spectating as a crowd watching that robot beat a professional chess master the first time it ever happened. And the crowd are like shocked, as if it's bloody iRobot time.
Yeah, well, they always said that it just couldn't be done. They were like, there's no way. They were like, chess is the most complex task. I think it's chess or Go.
It's because of the infinite amount
of options. You have to recalculate based on somebody's move, and they just said it could never be done. And then, yeah.
Could you imagine that generation of people having a look at what's going on
now with ChatGPT and ChatGPT?
Not to put you in your box, right? So yeah, I've got a little bit more on it. So it says, although the core function of a chatbot, is to mimic a human conversationalist, ChatGPT is versatile. For example, it can write and debug computer programs, compose music, teleplays, fairy tales, and student essays, answer test questions, write stories, write poetry, song lyrics, emulate a Linux system, simulate an entire chat room, play games, and simulate an ATM. So like that is just everything ever.
It's wild.
Come a long way from Tamagotchis.
It's but it's so wild, and I've only used it on like a limited basis.
Yeah.
But like what you said, people are using it to write code. They're feeding it code and saying like, "What's wrong with this? Tell me how to fix it," and it's fixing it. People are using it to write like articles, blogs, news stories. Yeah, the use cases, I think we're only seeing like the tip of the iceberg at the minute. Once it's been out on the market for longer and people start playing with it and figuring out what they can do with it, yeah, I think it's just going to go further and further.
Yeah, it's changing the world as we know it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's came from nowhere. It's been out since November 2022.
2022,
We've both had good play around it, but we use it from the sense of like a general population, just the average Joe. But tech companies.
Yeah, it's wild. I think it was. I can't. It might be Jordan Peterson said it's the biggest technological advancement we've seen since the internet, and
I
he
agree.
thinks it's bigger than that.
100%.
It's almost like it's the first step in us moving to this like futuristic society you hear about in movies
Yes,
and books. It's like that's the utopia, like, or dystopia, whichever way this goes. This seems to be like the first real, wow, this is incredible what technology can do.
yeah, the like dystopian sci-fi that Hollywood has prophesized for
Yes.
years.
Like, have you seen I think it's Iron Man, where he's got an assistant and it's like a super smart assistant, like that helps him with his thing. It's got these holograms and stuff that pulls up, and it's like this kind of is in that realm where it's gonna be, yeah,
It's like Siri and
Siri on steroids.
Alexa. Yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
Siri 3000. So we can go over kind of like the positives
Yeah.
and the negatives, impact on, I guess, the
Mhm.
future, the world, the
Yeah,
society,
Mm.
because it's changing everything.
Yeah, it will,
And
definitely.
it will.
Yeah,
It's going to make a lot of things obsolete,
Mm.
and it can work as probably one of the most dangerous things ever granted to people.
Yeah.
And also one of the cleverest in a helpful way.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, we've come along. Do you remember Talk to Frank?
No,
Oh, it was like this basically, but
like an early
it's
version.
an early version on MSN. Remember MSN?
Yes, I do remember this.
And it's like drug related. So you would ask it like, you would tell him that you're strung out on weed or something, yeah, and it would tell you how to like get off weed. But it was back then it was really cool because it was like the only automated robot you could speak to that would give you an answer. And you'd be like, "What? I'm not actually talking to a human. I'm talking to a robot, and he's constructing this general answer for me off of my question." It was like toe in the pool of what's going on now. But yeah,
First glimpse.
a first
Talk to
glimpse.
Frank.
So I like, obviously we both played on it, had a good little go on it for a few months now. I think one of the most impressive things that I like is the way it deciphers everything right in front of your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So you see it happening.
You just like see it thinking.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Yes, you do see it thinking. You see it birthing these sort of thoughts. It will pause as well, like it's
Yeah,
taking a breath,
like,
and then it's like,
got it.
yeah, let me just ponder.
Yeah,
Actually, that makes sense.
Mm.
And the way it does it in milliseconds sometimes.
This is it. It's not only is it super. It's the speed at which it can produce something that would have taken us maybe like 2 weeks of solid research, then constructing an answer, refining that answer, and like it can do it in 2 minutes. What would have taken us probably like 2 weeks of, or depends on the task, but yeah, some things like 2 weeks of solid research, analysis, editing, coming up with multiple options and refining it to your final end product. It does it in like minutes.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that, yeah, the positives, like it can analyze huge amounts of data and then summarize that and summarize complex data into like easily digestible answers in whatever format you want. Tell me like I'm 5-year-old, tell me like I'm a 10-year-old, tell it like I'm a 21-year-old. Explain it to me as if I don't have any experience in, let's say, nutrition.
Yeah.
So like, that's a huge positive. That's going to save you. Like, if you think about the time and effort that will save humanity in terms of analyzing huge data sets.
Yes.
And then simplifying that into insights, answers to questions that would have taken us, who knows, man, it could be like 3 people's lifetimes or 100 people's lifetimes. You don't know. So the amount of time and effort it would save there.
Yeah. I think this just came up in one of our conversations. I think you might have said it, and I thought that is just such a smart way to look at it. And it's the thing you're talking about with the research, right? So obviously it gets a lot of its information from the internet.
Yeah.
So if you have like a professor that spends 40 years researching how to find a cure for cancer,
yeah,
and they have all their like thesis and they have everything they've put together and they've put it on the internet, right? And that's just one person's brain. But what this AI can do is, right, so take the knowledge from that person, boom. All these other professors that have studied it over their lifetimes, it's like reading every history book, every book ability to research it in milliseconds, and can come up with maybe an answer that humans can't, because we're not looking in the right place. But it's looked in the right place from gathering evidence from multiple sources, which is what everyone does when they take exams, when we're learning, when we're studying, when we're taking tests. So that has the ability to look basically everywhere for the answer, merge it all together and come up with it.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's so true, mate. If you think about it, no one human could consume enough information in their lifetime to, let's just say, let's not even do everything. Let's just pick one topic, cancer. No human could ever consume all of the information and knowledge, everything that's out there on cancer. They can pick and choose like the best studies and get like a real good, solid understanding in terms of the research that been done as to experiments, but they could be missing a crucial piece of data in a study that was done in 1978 that didn't get a lot of attention at the time, but it's an important point. And they wouldn't know that. They couldn't do it. They couldn't connect the dots. They couldn't retain all that information. Like you say, AI, it can consume huge data sets. It can retain it, like it memorizes those data sets, and then it can connect dots, like you say, that we just may never have seen.
It digests it like professionally.
Yeah.
In a way we've never seen, in a fucking robot manner, in the manner of something that the human brain can't.
We only have so much processing power, and I think this just is a whole nother level compared to what we can process in terms of volume of data.
Precisely. You see, scientists, they correlate the brain with normally like a memory drive on a computer, don't they? Like with the power, it's not too far off like what computers can do. And this has just been amplified to
massively. And I don't think like this is the first, not the first version, but this is an early stage. Imagine when we're on ChatGPT 10, and like the more people use it, the better it gets, the more advanced it gets. The great thing about people is like they figure out how to use something to their advantage, and people will come up with super creative ways to use this, to use this technology, to do some pretty amazing things.
Like you give it to the geniuses of the world, all the innovative people that come up with ideas on their own anyway. Throw that in the mix to give them a hand.
Yeah, well, this is it. They said the people that are going to benefit from this are the people that can learn to use prompts. So to get the most out of it, you have to be kind of very specific of what you ask it, specific in how you ask it to get the best response from it, because it is just a language model where it's just been trained and rated its answers. So if you're very specific, you use the right words, you get the most out of it. So once people start figuring that out, learning how to use it, how to prompt it to get the best answers, who knows where it ends up.
We won't be needed anymore.
We won't, mate. This is going to replace so many things. I think they're predicting customer service. You'll no longer need a customer service team because this will be trained on your internal processes and procedures, as well as be able to chat as if it was a human to somebody. I don't think it's long before we can do speech. It's text now. There's so many platforms out there already that can convert text to speech. So there's no reason why this can't.
Yep. And it's doing it in a non-humanistic way.
No emotion.
Like a customer calls up, right? I'm annoyed. What's the first thing you do? You roll your eyes, put on a fake. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. How can I help? You're not sorry at all. You're biting your tongue. Cheer up. They wouldn't do that. They would genuinely be giving you a genuine, I am so sorry to hear that. Please can I think? And that would probably be a better customer response.
Much better. Not only that, mate. Think about it, Say you're working a customer service team. You're probably not a trained psychologist. You're not probably trained in diffusing a situation. That chatbot could have access to all of the information and research on how to diffuse a difficult situation, the psychology of, dealing with difficult customers. So like it knows exactly what to say, when to say it, based on how you interact with it to diffuse the situation. So I don't think we're probably far away from that. I think the amount of money companies will save by getting rid of their customer service departments, because customer service is just a cost. They don't generate money. They're just there to service customers that have already paid. So if they can eliminate that, this is one of the first things they do. So I reckon they will invest in, right, how do we use this technology to replace our customer service teams? Why wouldn't you, It's going to be better, more cost effective, better experience for your customers because there's no limit on how many calls you can take. Let's say you got 10 customer service teams, 10 customer service employees. They can only do 10 calls an hour, let's say. AI could do limitless calls an hour because you could just have it running 24 hours a day, 24/7.
Automate everything.
Automate everything, yeah.
And it's already doing that through like it picks up your general emotions now. It will talk to you back to how you're talking to it. Like it can tell the difference between like sarcasm and not sarcasm, which you thought at once upon a time was some humans can't even pick up sarcasm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
goes right over their head, and they can see it black and white.
And you can tell it to respond in a certain manner. So like I've been testing it and trying out things. I'm saying, like, say that in a more business formal way. Okay, can you change the tone from energetic to a bit more serious, let's say, and it will do it. So yeah, it's like it understands emotion.
Yeah, it does understand. I'll do it sometimes with our YouTube shorts.
Yeah.
I'll write in a title, or I've got a good title, and I'll say, can you keep it under 100 words, kind of replicate this, but make it humorous?
Yeah.
And it fucking comes out with
straight
bangers.
away.
Like absolute bangers. Like, I'm like, that is a cracker.
Which would have took you like probably a few hours to sit down.
Or
really
pin scratching.
There's the new one, so ChatGPT 4, which is the latest version. This is crazy. You can tell it to respond, but it can only use words beginning with a letter. So I ask it a question, and you can say you can only respond with letters beginning with P, words beginning with P, and it can do it and make a
coherent
sentence with only words beginning with the letter P.
That's that alphabet assassin.
Which is crazy. That's like, I think they use that as the example because how difficult that is to do. And the time in which it can process a request like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think didn't some lawyer get it to like pass the bar exam?
Yeah, I think it's done that, yeah.
Which is meant to be one of the hardest exams in the world.
Yeah.
And you generally need, and the people, how do you say it, scoring these exams, scoring's the shittest word I could have used, are saying you can't tell the difference between if this was wrote by a robot or a human. So I love it, man. I look forward to see where it goes.
Right, I think it's like, well, I guess this is where it's almost like, if it does eliminate a large number of jobs, it's likely to be the jobs that people don't get much fulfillment out, you know, like the repetitive jobs that can be automated by AI. There might be some creative jobs that get replaced as well because it is so powerful. But let's say it is just the basic jobs, mundane, repetitive, you can just replace that. Does that free people up to then focus on more fulfilling jobs, or are there jobs for those people that get replaced, or is there no work for them?
Is there no work for them?
Was a problem.
They left by the wayside without being able to pay bills.
They're not upskilled to be able to do, you know, move into this new world where it's new technology. So,
or do you get your free time back, or more free time? Sorry.
Yeah, and if you get more free time, how does that work in terms of your bills are still like who's paying
financially
for that free time? Yeah. So this is, I think, it's always been one of the concerns, isn't it? Robots replace everybody. What does everybody do with their time?
Me? Did I ever tell you I got started on by like an 80-year-old man in the co-op, actually, based off AI?
No.
It was based off AI. I was scanning my food,
On the self-checkout?
On the self-checkout, bro. On the self-checkout. And this guy, like, you know, one of those like Vietnam ex-army dudes who's just came back from the war and is a little bit trippy. He started shouting at me across the shop. Yeah, I was like, what is going on? I was on my own. Came up to me, put his forehead on my forehead, and he was like, it's people like you that are making these people not have jobs anymore. And pointing to the person on the till, yeah. I'm fucking just scanning my Kinder Buens, mate. I'm going back home.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything. It's a little old man. So I kind of just started, a little bit red. And I
was going to say, I'd have been like, the whole shop's looking at me, like, this guy.
Yeah, I wasn't like, hey.
No.
But yeah, that's and basically what he was saying is like, you're using self-checkout, the robots.
Yeah.
So you're not letting them people
going
to be out of a job now. So if don't listen to this podcast,
he'll find out where we are. But this is the thing, and it's like, with that, yeah, like, does he have a valid point in that? If you are let's say it's not a big corporation, it's a shop, yeah, you're owner of a shop, yeah, and you're paying someone 30 grand to literally go beep, beep, beep. Yeah, not that it's a bad job or anything, but you know what I mean? That's all you're doing. It's not, if you can automate that and buy a machine, yeah, for 15 grand and then not pay someone to do it, surely you're going to do it. You can't not do it, yeah.
You get rid of a slave.
You get rid of it, yeah, and replace it with a machine.
And replace it with a machine.
But do you have a responsibility to give people jobs? Because is there a responsibility to not replace people, to not automate people's jobs? Like, surely you can't ask me to not save money as a business owner because I'm now responsible for making sure there's jobs for other people. It's such a tough one. But obviously that's a small example, but there's a bigger scale. Like, imagine you're replacing customer service departments across the world. All of a sudden you got millions of people out of work. Then they're claiming social, they're claiming benefits because they just don't have other work or can't find other work. There's not enough jobs.
Yeah.
Then what do you do?
Yeah, we'd all love to play Robin Hood, wouldn't we? But
Yeah,
that's how you end up on your ass. You have to go with the times.
Yeah.
Because if you were not to follow that and everyone else did, then you'd just get left out.
Left behind, your shop gets closed because you have to charge £10 for something that other people can charge £5 because they're not paying someone to scan it or whatever the example is. So it's a tough one, mate. But yeah, this is a big argument. It's a big concern for people. Very exciting, but what does this mean if we no longer need people to work?
Hopefully we can stop tipping everyone. Stick a tip in the fucking takeaway dive £5 just to hand me a box that's been booted around his car, like. And it's,
have you ever been to America?
No, you have to tip him after every breath.
It's like it's not even it's expected, and when we went, it was like you tip everybody, and then there's this like on Modern Wisdom, you know that Chris Williamson. I think he's moved there, and he tells a story where he paid for it. He put like a 5 or 10% tip, turned it back to them, and then they were going to process on the machine. They turned the machine back to him and said, "You can do better than that."
Really?
Yeah, like it's expected. It's part of the culture. You have to tip at least like 10 or 20%.
Yeah,
that's a shit thing. Tips, you know.
Do you know what? Yeah, well, go.
It's an excuse for people not to pay a proper wage, and then you feel bad for that.
Precisely.
So then you tip.
Yeah, so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. I'm actually an insanely avid, like, generous tipper in restaurants. I think people in restaurants work really hard. I was with Jordy and he was saying, like, man, you tip so much. I was like, yeah, I do it on purpose because I actually feel a bit like, you know, you're on your feet all day working hard. You get people complain to you. It's not a nice environment to be in. So I like tipping people. The thing I was on about the takeaway is that you have to get your takeaway to like £30 now just to get it delivered, and then you get another £5 on top to have the delivery, and then you give the tip. So mate, you buy like a couple of snacks, and you're talking 40-50 quid these days.
No, I worked in hospitality, and like you do rely on your tips, mate. I would get like basic wage of 250 quid a week or something, and then tips would make like half. I would get on top of that like another 120 quid made up of tips, so it made a huge difference. But it's like, it's almost like, isn't it a strange concept? It's like our prices are this, so we're only going to pay our staff this much, but we need you to tip them. Otherwise, people will not work here because they wouldn't be able to survive without tips.
It's funny, yeah. What was I about to say? With tips, I've just gone brain dead. Doesn't matter.
But yeah, right. So ChatGPT, positives. What about some of the negatives? I think we touched on one of the, losing jobs and that. But didn't you have one about potentially somebody getting?
So the atomic beat. There was somebody jailbroke ChatGPT. So ChatGPT has safety regulations, so you can't ask it particular things. It will tell you, I'm an AI robot, I'm not allowed to do that if you ask it. Like me and you were messing around before, and I was asking it to just be rude, and it wouldn't even do that. So if you ask it, how do I make a grenade? It's going to be like, no. But someone jailbroke it by continually asking it specific questions to like go against itself. Ended up like not malfunctioning, but he learned this code of how to make it answer anything, and asked it how to create a Molotov cocktail and a nuclear bomb, and it gave it an answer on how to make a nuclear bomb, and it got it to answer questions pretending to be like a neo-Nazi. So
wow,
yeah, and it was just doing.
See, this is where it gets scary. So imagine the reason it has safeguards, yeah, is because the people that built it put those in place, right? Because they're responsible people. But there's a lot of people out there with bad intentions, governments, rogue governments, people at war, people that this, yeah, that with that technology would be quite happy to remove those safeguards.
Mm.
You know, what's the most effective way to take over a country? What's the most effective way to build a bomb? What's the most effective way to wipe out 100,000 people?
Dictators would lap that up.
What's the best way to spread propaganda?
Propaganda. That's exactly what I was going to. Propaganda. So you could say, especially with the video AI that's coming out, you can say, create a video of Vladimir Putin saying at 12 p.m. today we're gonna drop a bomb on the West. We're gonna put a bomb in the fucking middle of London, right? That gets leaked to the UK government. They don't know if it's real or fake, and they've said, "Shit, we could be bombed here. Let's attack first, like they do in most wars. Let's attack first." And next thing you know, because of the tension and the intensity of not knowing what the hell's going on, we're suddenly at war, dropping nukes on each other, which is a high possibility. I've seen some of those AI videos, deepfakes.
Have you seen the one of Biden where he's talking about that woman's ass?
Yeah. And it's like word for word, exactly his accent, exactly his mannerisms.
That's quite scary, isn't it, if you think about it?
Yeah, there's a funny one as well. It's like a whole PlayStation party of all the presidents. It's like Trump playing COD, having a go at Biden, calling him shit and that.
Yeah.
There's another one here. It says, even when asked to play along with a fictional scenario, ChatGPT barked at generating arguments for why Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was guilty of treason. Where's it getting that information from? Because it's made up.
Yeah, that's interesting. And as well, I think when the first version came out, there was a few kind of concerns that it had been designed because it had been built by Google. Is it Google or Microsoft? I think it's Microsoft, or a company owned by Microsoft. It was left leaning in its responses, in that it was more biased to liberal ideas, liberal people versus right wing. So if it can have built in biases as well. So like when you're saying about a propaganda machine, imagine they built this machine or used the software and said that when they built it with a bias towards that nation, so that it was always pro that nation in every response it gave, every idea it come up with.
That is good. But should that not be then a reward of the country that got to make it? It's my country made it.
Well, it's a weapon.
Exactly. It's my weapon, though.
Isn't that scary though, to think that, you know, with a weapon, we're thinking guns, bombs, but a weapon that is a tool that could completely destroy, or come up with ideas to destroy, come up with propaganda, come up with all sorts. How do you fight against that? You know, if there's this tool out there that's just every day churning out propaganda, posting it everywhere, posting fake news stories, posting fake news stories that are going to impact your economy and all your political, your votes. You know, like when they're saying Russia colluded with, I think it was China or something, to impact the 2016 election in America. Imagine they had an AI chatbot generating thousands of fake articles, sharing it with people, liking it.
And then you just got to come up with a better one, right? And then China have the most powerful AI robot. Then Russia do. Then we're going back to the USA.
Yeah, it's scary, mate.
It's a slippery slope.
Very.
For real, man. It really is.
Yeah.
Do you think that I would have the ability to change, like, probably one of the most archaic systems ever, and that's like the school system where you learn, 7 fucking
AI
subjects
teacher.
for 5 years?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we kind of ChatGPT 3 that we've used, but ChatGPT 4, and there's other, I think, apps and that out there that leverage the software to be able to generate images, text, speech, and video. Yeah.
Right.
Imagine a personalized AI teacher, yeah, for every child, that you feed the software information about the child, their character traits, the best way they like to learn, time of day they respond best, when they're tired, It learns that child and comes up with, based on all the knowledge and research of all the data it's got, the best way to teach that child. And then you can generate a video, you can generate text for like, study this in written in a way that's perfect for that child. It can generate speech, so you could have conversations with the teacher, and it would be based on what's best for that child. And it can generate videos, learning videos, formatted in a way and edited in a way that are perfect for that child.
That is everything that a robot is. That you see in the movies.
It's
An
just
advanced
not in
robot. It's just not moving.
like a body form.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not in a
Not
body
yet.
form. Yeah, not
Not
yet.
Tesla are working on a bot for their factories, and it looks quite like a human.
Tesla,
Tesla, yeah.
obviously.
It's not like but it's
fucking Elon Musk's a robot himself, man. They've already got one.
yeah. But yeah, no, definitely, it can revolutionize so much, mate. Imagine it in your house though, like it can become like a proper like I said, Siri on steroids. Book your appointments, follow up with you, make sure you're eating well, make sure you're, doing all your stuff, like link it in with all your personal finance, everything you've got, like your accounts and everything, manage your emails, do all that. There's so many. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg.
To be a weight lifted off your shoulders as well, the things you have to worry about consistently every day.
Automatically pay bills for you, automatically order food when it runs out, because it knows that we're not far away from probably smart fridges, smart electricity, well, you already get smart homes.
Well, we were using one for a little bit, weren't we, when we were editing our podcast episodes, but just the audio to try and get timestamps for the YouTube video.
The Descript, yeah.
So what we would do is we'd upload the audio only to this app. The app would then give you basically a summary of everything you talked about. They would pinpoint the highlights, how to know what highlights are. It knew my name and when I was talking, it knew your name and when you were talking, and then it gave you a class timestamp segment of everywhere in your video. So when you put it onto YouTube, you already know where you're talking about what. Because if we're talking for 90 minutes, sometimes it's completely different subjects. That will just tell you, this is where you started this. At 15 minutes, you went on to this. 17 minutes, you changed to this.
Crazy.
It was very intricate as well. Like when we do it humanistically, I will break it down into maybe 8 or 9 segments, because that's just better for YouTube. But that broke it down into like 40 segments. It just picks up every time you tweet your conversation or move on to a different subject. It knows.
There's a software that's gone the next step with that. They've integrated that with video editing. So you upload your video to this software. It does the full transcript, yeah, and then you can go through the transcript and delete like ums, hms, pauses, and it removes them from the video at the same time. So you edit the text, you can move sentences about, and it will cut and edit the video based on you editing the text. So it's like saving huge amount of time on the editing side.
Yeah, which is
massive, time consuming. Time consuming, and a lot of it is repetitive. You're just kind of looking for cuts. You're trying to match stuff. You're trying to make sure it's clean, tidy. Soon you won't need to do all that, man. No.
Yes, it's an insanely monotonous task.
Yeah, a lot of it is.
We've both done it like quite extensively at times, and it's one of those, when you're like 3 hours in, everything starts to look the same. You start tweaking things that don't need tweaking because you're getting in your own head.
Yeah. Even like the trailers we've done the change we've done for the last 2 episodes, where we're doing it as a trailer rather than like a sit down intro. That will soon be done by AI. No doubt soon you'll be able to say, watch this 90-minute podcast and come up with the most engaging, interesting, captivating intro in this style, using text layovers, using B-roll, using, news articles in the intro. And it won't be long before it can do that.
And it was going to make so many talented, humanistic subjects obsolete, because if you take poetry, if you take musician, lyricists, the reason some people stand so far alone is their ability to come up with lyrics that are just kind of like beautiful, and that's what makes them a famous person. Do you know what I mean? And that's what puts them above the rest. And now you've got literally this AI which can write songs on behalf of people in their style. Like, I don't know, do you know Nick Cave is? Oh, he's a quite famous singer. Someone said, write a song in the style of Nick Cave, and it banged it out perfect. And then that person sent it to Nick Cave, and Nick Cave came out like, listen, I did not write this. I put my blood and my sweat and my tears into my lyrics. Like, this is not me. I don't like this. What's going on? This is a proper disregard to actual humanity. And it could take away everything in that sense, all the beauty of naturalness of individualism that gets taken away from you.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it, actually? It's not just repetitive tasks, it's creative. If you think about video editing, if it can do that, yeah, I don't think it's long before it will be. It can already write lyrics, it can already write poems, it can already write articles, it can already write blog posts.
Yeah.
That's creative work that you would normally think was reserved for a human.
Like, I know someone who's a teacher, and they've called me, but for a few of their classes, and said, I'm about to go into class. I'm teaching Antarctica and all the animals to a bunch of 10-year-olds. Can you ask ChatGPT to make a cool poem? So I just opened ChatGPT, said, will you write this poem? It's Antarctica, include every single animal, or most of them, and make it like attentive to people under 10.
Age.
Another one. That's one of the things I always think. Another one. Which one's the best? And it just gives you 3, 4.
And that's what I love
5
about it, is that you refine it. It's like, it's not, your first answer is never like perfect, yeah, but within like, if you just feed into it a little bit, tweak this, tweak that, you come up with some really great kind of answers. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it to do diets for me, interview answers. My guitar schedule was the favorite one. I didn't stick to it or ever like take it up, but I'll try get it up now if you just give me a few seconds. But its ability to be able to do that is just.
One I did was a 12-week training program combining running and weightlifting, where I was going to run a marathon. I wanted to run X miles a week. I wanted to train this many times. I wanted to focus on these muscle groups in the gym. I wanted to I wanted to put on weight by the end of it. This is my current calories for maintenance. Based on all this information, can you put me a 12-week program together in a table format? Just came up, started doing it. I was like, holy shit.
That's it, mate. And it like ascertainable to you, and you can just ask it, take this out, but keep it.
Yes,
and it'll just change
that's
that.
it. I was like,
I don't want to do sit-ups. It'll just give you another one where you don't have to do sit-ups.
That's what I did. I was like, I didn't tell it which days I wanted to run and that. And then I was like, actually change the days to this, this, and this. Yep, no problem. Here you go.
Yeah, I love it, mate. And that's so good for that, because you would normally pay a professional for that sort of information, which is another, is that a good or a bad? Are they going to lose jobs? Fitness coaches, people that work out, like music. Like, this is what I asked it. I said a bit of bullshit. I said, I'm an intermediate guitarist that is looking to progress my skill set. I want to become a professional guitarist in the sense of my capabilities. I need to learn theory more. Please, can you give me a breakdown of the specific theory I should work on to become a better guitarist, and put it in a linear order, starting from the most basic to the more experienced. I would like to practice theory for 30 minutes every day. Boom, it just boffed it out. It just went pitch and notation, a little bit of information on it is chords, scales, intervals, chord progressions, improvisation, harmony, and analysis. I said, break every single one of those topics down into subtopics. Now, I don't want to know pitch and notation. I want you to tell me pitch and notation, everything about it in order. Like, tell me, what do I need with pitch and notation? It gave me that. And I said, please put this schedule into a weekly table that has a breakdown of what to practice and how long to practice for totaling 4 hours a week. Boom, it buffed it out in the list. I said, put this in a table. Nice and blunt. No, please. Someone was like, the thing is, like, you need to stop saying please to it. It doesn't care, right?
I do it. I used to say thank you at the end of it. And I was like, what am I doing?
That's exactly what I was doing. And it done that, and it came up with bullet points within bullet points that helped me, and I never used it. But if I wanted to, I could have. I told it everything about my diet, how much weight I'd put on, my height, my workout routine, how vigorous it was, how mundane it was sometimes, what I'm doing. And I said where I'd like to go, and I said, this is what I currently eat. I want to take these things out, give me a completely new diet where I'm hitting these protein goals, but I'm also staying under these calories so I can be in a calorie deficit, and we can start working from there. What do you think it done, Ben?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's crazy. This is where like the prompts you're giving it are really good and detailed. So like, once you nail that, you're right. Like, you would have paid somebody a lot of money to come up with that guitar schedule, a lot of money to come up with that training plan for you, and then paid them to kind of each week update your plan for you. Yeah, it's.
I always get it to write poems. And and then send it to me. If she's having a bad day, and I tell her that it's me.
That you wrote it.
Yeah, and she's like, "No, that's ChatGPT, man.
Get out of here."
So it's funny, but yeah, man, it's like I think it's gonna change the world as we know it.
Yes.
It's already started to. I don't see how they can ever really get a true handle on it, like governments and the sort of people that would like to just fucking nip this in the bud. Let's not go for it. We don't want it. I think it's been birthed now, and it's too late.
Yes. Are we ready for this?
So let's see.
Yeah, I'm again positive on this. I'm like, I think this is going to be a net positive,
And
but I'm so like, I don't know where this goes. Like, what does the world look like in 20 years? Because what there's like the rate at which it's advancing now is like the thing with technology. Is there a law? I can't remember what it is, right? But as technology advances, so let's say it takes us like 50 years to come up with the internet. Now that you have the internet, if you wanted to develop something at the same technological advancement as the internet that was going to have the same impact, because you can now use the internet to develop that tool, it only takes you 25 years. And then when you've got that new tool that you've developed, to develop the next tool only takes you 12 and a half years, because you're able to benefit from all the technological advancements that have come before you. So the rate at which you advance just rapidly increases and goes. And they think that we're at that point now with all the advancement we've had over the last 40 years, 50 years. ChatGPT, internet, AI, computing power, software. We're at that stage now where the rate at which we advance is going to be unrecognizable in like not a long period of time.
I think that's true. That's really true, mate. Because you only have to look at it from now, since the dawn of time. If you want to be like that, fucking open up about it. Yeah, it's like what in 100 years. So there was a 60-year difference, right, between the black and white photo of the two lads that created the plane and took flight. 60 years later, we landed on the moon, and that's just a 60-year gap.
And if you think how long it took us to get from caveman to that plane,
that's it.
And then plane to the moon.
That's what I'm trying to say, man. We were around for millions of years before we done anything. And the last 100 years, we've gone from fucking rolling boulders down hills to literally this, like robots.
Wow.
Have you ever heard of like the every 80 years theory?
No.
Oh, it's like, I've just got up, I don't know the specifics about it, but when we were chatting, so it's called the Strauss-House generation theory. Describes a recurrent cycle of same age groups with specific behavior patterns that change every 20 years. According to this theory, an 80-year cycle is crucial when every 4 generations is associated to a crisis that impacts the ongoing social order and creates a new one. Every 80 years, and guess what we're creeping up to?
8 years.
In 80. Do you know what the last 80 was? The World War.
Was it?
The end of the World Wars. World War II, really.
Did you see the news on Russia?
Today, I look quite...
So I think it was yesterday I seen it where the UK is supplying Ukraine with uranium-depleted ammunition. And I was just reading, I think that means that it's more... it can pierce armor better, supposedly. And I think Putin went and said, you're leaving us with little options to respond. Uranium is kind of in that nuclear territory. We will respond if we have to. It was like they deemed it as a nuclear threat.
That is scary.
Very scary. It
is scary. Because did you see the photo and the video of Putin and the president from China? They met this week and they're shaking hands, and the president of China literally says, well, let's stick together. It's time for a change. And look, obviously we're English people, right? But the Western world have been poking the bear for a long time. Like a long time. They're one of the most barbaric fucking societies in the whole of history, right? And it's easy for people from our language and our ethnicities to look at the Daily Mail and all our propaganda and see, that we're on our side, right? F Russia, F them, F this. They're the bad guys. But they have, it's different in their world, man. Like they have their reasons for being annoyed. You know what I mean? They're not just trying to be playground bullies. And it's I don't know why America and England and the UK always feel that they have to play world police. They're always going into foreign countries half the time, not making it any better. causing, barbaric savagery across the world with their intentions and the ideologies of improving these countries, only to leave it worse off than it was when they arrived.
And it causes unforeseen consequences.
Exactly, mate. And the rest of the world look at that and said, right, you've done that once, you've done that twice, you've done that 3 times. Okay, now you're trying to bully us. No, mate, you will not get away with bullying us. And that's sort of Russia and China. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sticking up for them. I think like what Russia's doing to Ukraine is horrendous. But it stems from somewhere. Like if you look back at when like the wars ended and NATO started, like all the geopolitical reasons of having territory around, because that's a good war tactic, is to have territory around places you're going to fight, surround them. So that's why like Britain want to help Ukraine and stuff, like, because where can you put your nuclear warheads? Can you put them closer to my country? Well, I don't want you putting them closer to my country. There's so much to look at from it, but where the hell did that come from? we were just on AI.
I don't know how we got onto that, but yeah, it's no, we're talking about war, I think.
Oh right,
World War was the last 8 years.
Oh yeah, World War was the last 8 years.
Yeah, but doing war things, you're right, it's scary, and it's like, I don't know if enough people understand the causes and how it's ended up where it is, including myself. Like, we probably don't know the full extent of why we are where we are and how it's escalated to this, which you would hope, like, you would not expect to see a invasion of another sovereign country in this day and age. You'd like to think we're past that,
Yes, mate, you would. But and I don't know what is about this time. You have to think, right, as well. We had a world war in what, 1917?
Yeah,
I think the First World War was 1917.
Yeah.
30 years later, we're at war again, right? 40, 45. It's been 60, 70, it's been 80 years since we've been at war, and then the attentions are high.
Yeah.
Like a real, like, world war. One of the Franz Ferdinand bad boys. So, and tension isn't, I don't know if it's because news is more popular these days, but tensions never seem to be so high.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we, to wrap it up for ChatGPT, what are you saying?
I'm saying really huge positive, like very excited to see how it goes, and actively trying to see how I can use it more in my world, in my life, to improve what I do. I do a lot of stuff on the side from work, do a lot of stuff with the podcast, editing, videos, scripting. When I'm researching stuff, no, I don't Google stuff anymore. I ask ChatGPT, trying to go think like that more. So definitely positive, and I think if you haven't used it, definitely check it out. I think it's gonna completely change a huge part of society and a huge part of the way we work. So if you can be an early adopter, learn how to use it, learn how to use the prompts, I think you'll be ahead of the pack.
Yeah, be ahead of the pack. It's such an easy website to navigate. You just log in as you do with anything else, create an account, email address and password, and you chat to it as you chat to people on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you just get a reply as such.
Yeah.
And it gives you a couple of hints and tips of what you can ask it, and just have a play around. I mean, you're not going to press enter and suddenly your door's getting kicked in by the SWAT team.
Well, it depends what you ask it.
But, there we go. So and it's a bit of entertainment, and like you said, I do what you do as well now. I don't use Google anymore to search things. So I'm looking forward to see where this goes, man. Cool. We're gonna move on to probably one of the funniest things I've seen in the most recent years. And the most cringiest is these online dating coaches that are constantly speaking to their phone, thinking they're giving you great advice about how to lure women into their traps and basically manipulate people. But no, these people are, I don't know, mate. It's just, I find it so weird, so cringy, and quite unnecessary. And I actually think the advice that they spout is so far away from the actual truth that they're kind of living in dreamland and probably just trying to exploit people that are not good at getting girls or have not been able to get girlfriends, like exploiting lonely people with bullshit advice.
Yeah.
All while fucking insulting and like misogynistically commenting on fucking women.
Yeah, so modern dating in general has changed, hasn't it, in like the last 10 years, and this has kind of been on the rise, hasn't it? This kind of, what do you call it, alpha male kind of type advice that's kind of think it seems to stem a lot of Andrew Tate,
You
and
know, yeah.
since he's been about and he's said that, um, it seems like a lot more people have jumped on the bandwagon, and his ideas that he's spouting are now becoming like, and yeah. So there's a few places we wanted to go, isn't there? There's dating coaches, dating apps, talk about Incel Community, and then the animosity between men and women. So
That's right. That's right.
dating coaches.
Well, yeah. Well, what think you just said's entirely true. It's that alpha male sort of bravado that they're spouting, instead of, it doesn't teach you like the etiquette of how to be a gentleman. There doesn't seem to be any like decorum or like general advice that's like, oh, that's quite nice advice. It's all seems to be a game of like manipulation, psychological warfare, where they're causing like the other person involved some sort of distress. Like, what was the video we seen that was quite hilarious? It was like, you know, in the morning, if you are with a girl, you have a girlfriend, and she specifically said she has chosen to be with you, which is well formal. I don't think anyone's ever asked, I specifically am going to just be with you, right? Don't text her in the morning. Don't text her. Let her text you first. And I get what they're trying to say is like, don't come across too clingy, but like your own girlfriend, mate, you text her in the morning if you're not with her to see how she is, because that's just kind and generous. You don't need to play this manipulation game. I know what they're trying to say. They're trying to say don't text her, so then she will worry and be under a sense of like, oh, why hasn't he text me? Why hasn't he text me? Now I'm panicky a bit, so maybe I should text him first. That's emotional manipulation, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. And you like to think that if it's your girlfriend, you would want to text her.
You wouldn't want her feeling.
Yeah, you wouldn't want her feeling like that, and it's like you would want to text her. So why wouldn't you? You know, it's like, but yeah, it's like the advice again. I think it all stems from this whole Andrew Tate movement, yeah, and his advice on women, yeah, is like, it's advice that doesn't work for 99% of men. 99% of men would not benefit from treating women in that way. And it's not like the real world. It's maybe this top 1% of men who think that way and are attracting like 15, 20 women at a time, or whatever it is. I don't even know. So it's like manipulative behavior and psychological tricks, rather than just actually
That's it.
being in a normal relationship where you're not trying to kind of get one over, or kind of, like you said, manipulate the other person.
You don't have to play a game of chess to get someone to be attracted to you.
If you're doing that, you're doing something wrong.
You're doing it, yeah, and you're doing it for ulterior motives. Because I'll tell you one thing, right? Yeah, if you pretend to be somebody else and that person falls for you, you then have to be somebody else forever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That is not the true you, and that would make you unhappy in the long run. Yeah. You've done it because you're desperate to have a girlfriend. You're desperate to have girl company. I mean, no, like, say this is just random example. You're trying to impress a girl. She asks you what you ask her what she likes. She's like, I hate horror movies. I don't like going out. I love drinking. That's all the stuff the opposite of you. But you say, I'm the exact same, right? And then you get together, you're together. You never watch films together because she doesn't like it, but you love it, but you're not doing it because that's not. Yeah, you're trying to impress her.
You've played a part, and then
you've made a false visage. You've led her there under false pretense. Now you've got to be somebody else, so you're fucking unhappy. And you're a girl's with you when she's with like somebody she doesn't even know the truth.
Yeah.
It's
a tough one, isn't it? Because you're right, actually. Like saying what you said before about being too clingy. Like, there probably are people out there that are too much. 5 texts in the morning. You know, how are you? Why haven't you responded? Hello. Question mark. Yeah, that's too much. But like, that feels just like common sense to me. Like, it's not like, I think if you text your girlfriend in the morning saying hello, good morning, how are you? If you're not with her, that's not and that puts her off. I don't think it's the text that's putting her off. It's that you must be doing something else where you're the type of person, mate, she can't stand, because it's not a text. A good morning text isn't what's going to put a girl off you.
That's it, man. Do you know what? And sometimes that's all it comes down to, is she's just not into you, mate. And you don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to start playing fucking magician and tricking her. She's just not into you, right? You haven't done anything wrong, and it's completely fair. People are in their right not to like you if it's not somebody you gel with. You know what I mean? So if you're texting someone, right, and they're not texting you back, do you know what you do? You leave them alone. because they don't want to speak to you.
Yeah.
You don't keep bombarding them with messages. And if you're messaging someone 5 times in a row, then you're a creep and you're paranoid and you've got like, there's something wrong with you as a person if you need to constantly be on your phone texting someone, but you're texting someone because you need a text back.
Yes.
You're not generally texting someone because you actually just say, I just want to send them a bit of love. Do you know what I
Good
mean?
morning.
I need them
Hope you
to
have a
talk
good
to
day.
me. Yeah. So you're like, you would live in that. You would live in that. You would perpetuate that state of like paranoia or like anxiety where you're like, oh no, I really need you to talk to me, so I'm gonna reach out first. Well, and then they text you back. Well, you just start doing that again. You're in a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's a
You're
real strange.
beating yourself up.
Do you think there is a need for dating coaches? Like, I actually thought about this, right? And I was like, if I thought about me and you, because I knew we were doing this podcast. I was like, we've never, like, luckily, not that I was like a huge womanizer, but like I've never had issues like speaking with girls or like having girlfriends and stuff like that. It's never like been a issue for me. And the same with you, you know, you've never had issues with that. Is there a lot of people out there where that's not the case and they don't know how to behave around girls, and like they get a girl friend or at like early stages they're dating and they don't know how to act, so they do send too many texts, they do get a bit clingy, they do that. Therefore, like, is there benefits in a dating coach to help somebody who struggles with that? Or do you think that it has to be a natural, you can't coach somebody through that because you're, like you said before, that you're teaching them to put on a facade and not be their real self?
No. Yeah, I think you're right, mate. There is a space for dating coaches. I just think they seem to be hiding in the shadows at the moment, and they've let a lot of freaks hijack their jobs. Because what real dating coaches would do would probably take a self-conscious person and help them build their confidence and put them in situations where they can act correctly. You know, if somebody's like socially inept and doesn't know how to think, like what you just brought up, we've never had a problem. And I think, do you know why that is? Because we've been around girls from
a young
day
age.
one. We went to public schools where we always mingled with girls, and we had girlfriends like the minute we turned 12, 13, and ever since then we've adjusted and we fell out with girls and got along with girls. And, you know, we've learned to adapt through those sort of processes. Where some people, unfortunately, you know, they live reclusive lifestyles. They have never had girlfriends. They go to private schools. And they don't have that sort of sense of mingling with like opposite sex. So I guess, you know, a dating coach who would have that sort of advice can say to you, no, this is what you need to do. And they probably exist, mate. And they probably, there's people who have, it's worked from that, you know?
I think it's the type of advice, isn't it? It's almost like it's working with someone to help them become a person that women would find attractive versus, like you say, the manipulative kind of advice that seems to be big at the minute.
It is manipulative. I'm sick of, I'm sick of fucking hearing is that high value shit.
Oh, it's everywhere. High value man, high value women.
Bullshit. There's no such fucking thing. Obviously there is. Yeah, what, you're rich, you're famous, you got a lot of money, you look after yourself, you go to the gym. I get what they're trying to say is, but listen, if somebody loves you, mate, you could come home in work clothes full of fucking shit after cleaning drains for fucking 4 days in a row, earning minimum wage, mate. And if somebody's in love with you, they don't give a shit, man. They just want you to be happy. It's got nothing to do with how much you earn, how much you got in the bank, what sort of cars you're driving, who you've got on your arm, your jewelry. It's got nothing to do with that, man. If somebody's in love with you, they will do anything for you. And you see that in old people who've been together for years. Do you know what I mean? It's a fucking thing of beauty.
Yeah. That's why I think this Andrew Tate kind of style advice is just, like we said, it's like for 1% of men out there that it's going to be even like remotely relevant, or like you say, men that are trying to look, you know, they do have that type of money or whatever, and that's how they think. I don't know how it works in those worlds, but maybe that is how they interact with women at that level. I don't know. But exactly what you just said, for 99% of people, a lot of that stuff does not matter. High value this, high value that. And like, yeah, it's almost, it's just become this like fad at the minute. It's like,
I hate it, mate. I don't know. What was that kid said? Women lose their value after 30.
And that's like
30, mate.
But you know,
30. That's not 85. That's 30.
But you know the thing with this, mate. This isn't like original thoughts. This is to a T. Have you seen that Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit?
The regurgitation.
It's just
verbatim.
People are just latching onto it and kind of just regurgitating what's being said by these people.
And That's it, mate. And do you know what? It's a piggyback to say, right, how can I get famous? How can I get followers on Instagram? How can I get popular? How can I get more people paying attention to look at me and maybe monetize it on the way, right? Oh, I know what I'll do. That geezer is probably the most famous man in the world right now.
And this is how he got famous, by talking like this.
Let me do a bit of that, right? And we'll see where we can go with it. And
it's a strange one, isn't it? I like people that I was surprised like latching onto it as well. I was like,
yeah, I was like, I thought you were normal. I thought you were normal, but you never know what's going on, man. You don't know how people think. But I hate that high valued thing because it's just not got nothing to do with relationships. But I get what like a man in a suit who's got a six pack is attractive and is more likely to be the most attractive man in the room. Yeah, cool. But what's his personality like, man? Personality is such a huge thing. It will take over looks and attractiveness any day of the week, man.
Yeah.
That'll be how you really
get along.
you've
like some ugly people who are absolute killers. And
exactly. And you know some beautiful looking people who have got nothing about.
Just fucking brain dead.
Yeah, just have nothing to say, like. And that's not me being inconsiderate to people. That's true. Those people exist. Personality's huge.
I suppose the issue, like, that advice is that it's like, you're right. Everything you're saying is right. When you're in a relationship, a lot of these things don't matter. But the advice, I think, is there's an element of that advice that I think is good. And I think that is becoming the type of man that if you are single and you've got nothing going for you and sitting there saying, oh, it's victimhood, like I'm not, that advice to say, well, this is what women would find attractive can be good for some people to help them, start getting their shit together, improving themselves. Yeah. But like, it's not specific to, it shouldn't be specific to money, cars.
That's it.
And manipulating women. Like you said, it's personality. Like you might not have a better personality. You might be quite shy. You might be quite awkward. You might be, whatever it is, there's sort of stuff you can work on. So there is an element of that advice. Not like improving your value. Again, I hate that. I'm with you on that. But you know what I mean? Becoming a better person that is more attractive to women, or, people might, not necessarily in looks wise, but like you say, personality, funny, not as shy, can actually hold a conversation. There is some value in that. I just hate the way it's packaged.
No, you're correct. I hate the way it's packaged too. I get it, right? You might be a 40-year-old person who's not got laid in 30 years and you sit around playing video games at a time when everyone's working hard and all you do is eat junk food and your body's out of shape and you're feeling a bit depressed and girls won't even look at you, right? And I could see why you're like, oh, okay, I need to kind of sort my life out. I don't know where to start. Let me go get a bit of help. Like what you just said, it's just packaged incorrectly. There'll be people who'll be like, right, get yourself to the gym, which is great advice, right?
Great advice.
Get yourself to the gym because it helps you out and it helps how you look and it helps your mental health. Eat properly because that does everything I just said with working out. They go hand in hand. And then you start to see your life improve, which is obviously just part of the course, right? But that's not the videos we're seeing, right? And it's the videos that are popular. It's the what's it called? The viralness of these sort of videos that just seem, well, man, I would not want someone treating my daughter like that. I would not want someone treating the girls that I hang around with and know like that because you want to look out for them, right? And that just seems like spiteful what you're doing.
Yeah.
So and it's not that deep. I just don't think it's that deep. When I say deep, I mean like it's not that intricate. It's not that hard, right? It's not. It's turning like a mountain into a molehill. Like what you do is you go up and you have a conversation with a girl around, and if it goes somewhere, that's fine. If it doesn't, it didn't, and that's all it's meant to be. You don't need to look for, well, why did that not work out? Why did I not get what I wanted? Because you didn't gel and you didn't bond.
Yeah. But my only pushback there,
Gone.
is obviously let's say that happened to you twice. Let's say in all the experiences you've had with women,
yes,
you've had let's go 8 have been positive, 2 you've had the kickback where it didn't work out.
Get on your bike.
Get on your bike, not speaking to you, not interested. There's probably blokes out there who 10 out of 10 they've been rejected.
Yeah.
So then they start asking themselves, why? What's wrong with me? Or is it what's wrong with them? They just don't like, So then, is it because of our experience that we're just not, this advice just does not resonate with us at all? Whereas if there's somebody out there, 10, they've always suffered with rejection. They can't seem to get women to be interested in them. And then there's all this advice about this type of advice out there resonates with them. Not necessarily a good thing, but maybe that's why.
Yeah. No, mate, I don't even think that. I'll disagree and say, like, if you it's 10 out of 10 knockback, go
Yeah.
for your 11th, go for your 12th, go for your 14th. Because in my eyes, and again, this is probably just my opinion and the
Yeah.
way I view life, there's someone for everyone, man.
Yeah.
What are you into? You're into Pokemon and Star Trek, right? Get on a flight and go to conventions, and you'll meet other people into Pokemon and Star, and that's where you'll meet the love of your life. You can't be into Pokemon and Star Trek and play Xbox fucking 9 hours a day, and then walk into fucking Havana or Coco or whatever other nightclubs around here and hope to pull someone, because that's not your lifestyle and it's not their lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's like, what are the 10 girls you're going for, man? You need to surround yourself in environments where it's like, you know, because like I've been in a few relationships, right? And I've learned over the years, one thing that is, you need things in common. And it's not that it's a necessity to work out. It's not at all. You can be opposites and work out, but it helps massively. If you're into the same music, if you're into the same movies, if you want to go to the same countries, it's an easier ride. I'm just saying it's easier to find people if you put yourself in environments that were. So I don't know if I'm on track a little bit there, but just
be a dating coach.
Hey.
No, I get what you're saying. You're right. It's like, but then like we're proactive,
get-
and like we would go that way. Someone with like a little bit of self-esteem issues, or confidence issues, won't see it, like won't be like that, But you're right. That is the right answer. You got to put yourself out. You got to put yourself in environments where you're more likely to find someone that's compatible with you.
Yeah.
Not, yeah. It's
and like, no offense, but we've read threads and that, and it's guys that is like, you kind of have to come to terms with that's not the type of girl that you're ever going to be able to get. Right?
Play at your level.
Play at your level, dude. You know what I mean? I can see why you're angry. It's because you watch all that pornography and you think you should have a 10 out of 10 model, and there's 10 out of 10 girls walking past you all the time that won't even look at you, right? So now you got your panties in a bunch and you're angry at the world. But that's not their fault, man.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's your fault for confusing
unrealistic expectations based on what's out there. And it's like, you're right, it's porn, but it's also the content you're consuming. Like Instagram, you're seeing these blokes with these 10 supermodels on a yacht. You're seeing like,
and the
Bugatti. But that's just not it, That's not like that's not the experience of 99.9% of men on the planet. I would say.
It's not.
So it's like, yeah, but yeah,
you'll end up happier in the long run if you just wait it out, And it's no rush. There's no real rush. I get it. Like, obviously, everyone would love company with the opposite sex or the sex that they enjoy hanging around with, right? But rushing into things will just be your Achilles heel. It'll be your downfall. You just got to cruise. And what you do is you completely be yourself, right? Just completely be yourself. Never be anyone else. You let them know what you're into, and you just go, and people like will just start. They will let you know if they like you, man. Girls are very vocal. They'll come up. You know what I mean? They'll have a way of giving you a signal or a sign if they want to, and if they don't, then just leave them be. Like,
yeah, it's a real tough one.
you don't need to be. I just think chasing people is just. So I don't want to say creepy, but it's like, oh man.
What do you think of dating apps?
Sam, we'll go on to that next. But I'll put a little. This is my go-to Josh Malloy advice. All right.
Here we go.
I just name drop myself. Why did I do that? Be an interesting conversationalist. Be attentive. Be a little bit funny. Don't be creepy. Don't be pushy. And actually talk to a girl like you're genuinely interested in them. And if you keep your ulterior motives to one side, you'll have a much better conversation. And there will come a time where you have that conversation with somebody who gels with you and clicks with you.
See, I'm going to say, though.
Go on.
That all comes naturally to you. Having known you for how long I've known you, every point you just reeled off comes supernatural to you. You're funny, you're attentive, you're thoughtful, you're kind.
Thank you.
I'm not hitting on you. But
my dating advice works
working. But you know what I mean? Like, that all comes naturally to you, and it always has, mate.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
So
no,
there's a lot of people out there that just do not understand what it means to be those things or how to be those things, and they're the people I think are getting suckered into this whole in this movement. We could talk about it as well, the incel community and this like bad dating advice, because they don't have anywhere else to go. They don't know how to be somebody like that in by themselves. So then they look online and they see these people giving this type of advice, and they have nowhere else to go. Because like I've never seen like a normal dating coach, like a dating coach that like it gives good, like I don't know if it's just because I'm not looking for it, but like I've only ever seen the cringy stuff that we've seen. I've never seen like a coach that's out there saying, I'm a dating coach and this is what you need to do to be to that. So
No, that's right. Now I feel bad.
no.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say, you're 100% correct, mate. And that kind of takes us full circle. I mentioned at the beginning, like, do you think there's a slight exploitation of these men giving this advice because they know there's a demographic of those sort of people who, like everything you just explained, they don't have the ability or the characteristics or the traits to fulfill kind of the things that I mentioned.
Yeah.
So off the back of that, they see that. They see that group of people that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because we're not specifically like all dating coaches, but like the the internet have a hold of at the minute that everyone are looking to for advice, all eyes on me sort of thing. They're the ones where like that's where we can maybe exploit a couple of people who don't know any better, monetize it, get a bit of gain out of people, giving them advice that, like you said, they don't know that it's bad advice.
Because they don't know how to look, and like, this is what they're seeing online, and I do think that's a factor. Because I think there was a big movement. Can't remember when it was. It's called Pickup Artistry, and they wrote a book on it, and it was all about how to manipulate women and how to get women, but it was come in a very manipulative, that type of way, similar to what we're seeing now, and I think it got a lot of stick. But a lot of people flocked to it because they didn't know how to get women, or they struggled with it, or they didn't know that kind of, and they went in. This movement kind of picked up a lot of traction, and it's like the same now. So who knows? Maybe it is exploitation of them. Yeah, and maybe they just have nowhere else to look,
So moral of the story is, if you're looking for dating advice, look intricately enough until you find maybe an actual professional, and not just going off of influencers on Instagram. Because
and I think don't focus on how you can manipulate women. Focus on how you can become a better person. That is, you'll know if you're pretty shy. You'll know if you're not able to hold a conversation with most people, or look someone in the eyes when you're talking, or you'll know if you're, or no, you might not know if you're boring to be around. But you know what I mean? You should have an idea of, you know yourself. So focus on that, not on fucking how to manipulate a woman.
Exactly. So what I think would be a great step in the right direction if there was more male dating advice coaches, right? Because females aren't going to tell you to start exploiting women, and they're going to tell you and you're getting information from the horse's mouth. So why isn't there more of that, to say, I'm a woman, this is how you should treat us? I think that would take off.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that.
But that would be good, because who better to listen to when trying to get women than women? And women are not going to throw women under the bus in the you would like to think. Ooh. So when that happens, I expect
trademark.
A cut, all right?
Josh is an agent.
Cool, man. So we got a good little bit out of that. So we're on to dating apps.
Yeah, so I suppose it all ties together. There's dating apps and the incel community. Incel community is probably good to talk about now, given where we're at, but this is almost the extreme of what we've just been discussing. Incel community, which stands for involuntarily celibate. So you're not celibate by choice, but it's because women will not have sex with you.
In layman's terms, you can't get laid, but you would like to be.
Correct.
Right.
And it's quite a dark movement, and it's very anti-women. They call them foids, I think, which is female humanoids, which tries to like
dehumanize it, calling them robots.
Exactly. And this is how big this movement is still up for debate, in that, is it really a big issue, or is it because it's so extreme and so sensationalized it gets picked up quite a lot because of what they're saying, what they're talking about, versus it's actually a big scale movement. But it's actually led to a couple of mass shootings. There's a famous guy, I can't remember, I think it's Elliot Jones. His name was.
Okay, brother, I know the guy. Is he the guy that's sitting in his car recording a selfie video saying, why don't they like me? Got out of his car, took a gun to a sorority house and killed a load of girls. Yeah. And you can guess what country that happened in.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and
I know the guy you're on about.
he's like, they say he's idolized within the incel community because he took action and
Oh, he's their martyr, yeah?
yeah,
Oh, what
martyr.
a surprise.
Yeah, it's like the extreme version of that, but it's like it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? It's like you can't get laid, so you join incel. You're definitely not going to get laid. You. It's like this. It just feeds itself. This vicious cycle of There's no
It's based off like objectifying women.
objectifying women, talking about hurting women, acts of violence. They have this idea. I think they call it a Chad, which is like a male. What they talk about this male who is able to attract women and have sex with women, and they like lots of memes, lots of derogatory terms, stuff like that. But it's the extreme version of what you're seeing in terms of people that may struggle with women.
Yeah, no, incel, yeah, that word rings a bell. I think they've done like a couple Channel 4 documentaries on Vice documentaries.
Vice did quite a good one where she goes and meets one, sits with him, and he shows her the chat rooms and stuff, and it's vile stuff, mate. It's like, and it's vile stuff. And within the interview, she says, a lot of the people are prone to self-harm, and within this group he'd had 4 of his friends that had killed themselves and actively joked within the community about what they were going to do, kill themselves, and they'd done it. So like it's real troubled people, but it's very focused at anti-women. It's a strange movement, really strange.
Yeah, little bastards.
Yeah, it's but yeah, I don't know. Like, there's no answer for that. There's like, it's like a cult.
Yeah, I would say it's similar to a cult, 100%. And it's a shame because it's like you can tell the type of people, can't you?
And it's what you're saying before. It's exploitation of these people. It's like they haven't found a sense of community anywhere else, and then they bond over something that isn't a positive thing to bond over.
Yeah,
the lack of being able to attract women and have sex with women.
I think I remember one of the characters, if you want to call them that, from the Vice documentary or the other documentary, that were basically saying he was exploiting women into to giving them nudes by pretending to be someone else, I guess a more good-looking man. And the interview was saying, like, so you get all these naked photos of these women and then you either sell them or you put them online, which they don't want, and you hurt them. And he's like, well, why'd you do that? And he's like, because I think they're disgusting. And just says everything derogatory you could ever think about women. And then the woman said, so do you do anything else with the photos? And he starts giggling and that. And then she's like, yeah, well, I pleasure myself to them before I put them online. And he's like, so you're getting gratification and satisfaction out of these people, but you're spouting such a violent behavior of hate. And that's not really generally how you feel then if you're not disgusted at these acts by, pleasuring yourself to them, because you're a hypocrite.
Yeah,
You're basically a massive fucking hypocrite. So it shines light on, that they act like they hate them.
But they don't. But if they could have a girlfriend,
it's bitter.
Yeah, very bitter.
Doing it through being bitter.
But the reason for raising it, and like, there's questions around whether the content you're seeing online now, the type of advice that's being given, the type of content you're seeing is feeding into this, more people joining this type of movement, the anti-woman stuff, the manipulation, the women lose their value, and then is it feeding into this? But yeah.
What about dating apps then? You mentioned that.
Dating apps, yeah. So I've never used one.
Nah.
I've been in a long-term relationship for 10 years now, so I think Tinder came out.
She missed the boss.
But are they a positive?
They have the ability to be, but if I'm going to be honest, I'd say most people on Tinder just want to fornicate. And I'm sorry, but from an outside perspective, yeah, I'll get into I'll get into why after, but it just looks like a lot of narcissism and it's a lot of cringe. And I don't know, maybe I know I'm a bit like never really been.
Have you used it?
So no, I haven't. No. I've never really been social media driven. So when I see like profiles and that, sometimes I find them very cringy. But when I was hanging around with this girl who both our girlfriends know, right? She's showing me her Tinder profile, and it's hilariously cringy, mate, because you have like set of photos the guy will put up, right? One, he's out with his mates. He's got his 2 uglier mates next to him, so he looks a bit prettier. Next photo, It's me doing something, me holding my niece,
Yeah. Family man.
family man time.
Yeah.
Away, I'm a traveling man. This is me in Dubai or whatever,
Yeah.
a traveling man. Shades on, things. You might get a gym photo, right?
So
And
you know you
it's just
keep
so
it
cringy,
shade.
right? And then they will have, and then you go to the next guy. Exact same photos, just a different guy in different places. You know what I mean? All
Yeah.
carbon copies of each other, like basically like robots.
Mm.
And then in their bio, it's like, because obviously we're very communal where we live. It's like everyone knows everyone. So when she was showing me, I was like, yeah, I know exactly who that is. Like, so I work in a charity shop on Saturdays. I was like, boy,
I see him at the pub.
He's doing community service, mate. That's why he's in a charity shop. He's just been let out of the nick. Like, don't fucking listen to him. And then she'd like match a few people, right? And they would just send the most
outrageous,
just stupid, like, sorry, one-liners in an attempt to woo this girl. And I'm like, you're selling your soul, brother. Like, this is not you. What? It's just like it's just a complete bullshit like conversation in an attempt to like woo this person with jokes that are just like, oh mate, I want to crawl inside and
do you know
die.
what? I'm so glad I missed it, because like I can't imagine having to do that. One, have a profile like that, but then two, having to cold message somebody you've never met before.
So
and try and be funny, or try and be, you know, like a bit mysterious, a bit fucking whatever it is you're trying to do just to get a date with them.
Just to get a date, and that's it. You're speaking to somebody you don't know, which to me sounds like the most boringest thing in the world. I don't just text no one. I text my girlfriend maybe once a day if, like, you know, we're at work and I'm just checking in to see what time you're coming home or something like. But I could never imagine opening a chat with somebody you don't know how they talk, you just know them, or based off of like these couple of photos, to say, hey.
Yeah,
can you speak to me, please? Can you speak to me, in the hopes that one day, and I probably need to reel it in a little bit, because I'm probably just cheeking a couple of people. A lot of people here are gonna fucking listen to this podcast and be like, that little dickhead. Now I feel well good about myself. But I just there's an element of cringe around it. But anyway, I will reel it in a little bit and be nice, even though I don't really want to. There's I bet you there's some amazing stories of people meeting on Tinder and it working out.
Oh yeah, for sure there is, like, definitely. But it's like the majority of what's going on in the apps, isn't that? Is it?
Nah, not at all. It's people that want to get laid, and it's people. And do you know what else it is as well? It is narcissism, because it's people who want to know if other people would like them without the intention of going on dates or do you know what I mean? Like, I've heard it from people on like the boys on Tinder, and they're like, yeah, I matched her, but said all right, but she just like didn't say anything to me. It's like, yeah, well, fucking, because she never wanted to speak to you in the first place, mate. She wanted to know if she was good enough looking for a bunch of people to say, because it's an ego boost, isn't it?
I was going to say,
oh, 10 people liked me today, or whatever it is. 10 people, what is it called? Like, swiped on me. So fucking, yeah, like, oh, I'm happy. I mean, I have a bit of serotonin.
But same as social, like, it's same concept. Social media, likes, shares, and shit like that. It's
exact same concept as social media. It's just an ego boost, man. But yeah, I'll never really be one for them, man.
No, I'm glad I missed that, man.
Just go and chat to people. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, where do we go from here?
So we can wrap it up, I guess. But yeah, the last kind of, and it kind of covered it, but like, I don't know if you experience the same, but like when I look at stuff online and I listen to like clips from podcasts and shorts from podcasts that are popping off, it's like, it seems to be talking about a lot of this animosity between men and women, you know, like men, alpha males, feminists, like clashing, men versus women. And it just doesn't seem the case for me. It's just not my experience in real life, in that like men don't like women and women don't like men. But it seems to be like on all the talk about the podcast, feminism, women don't want to sleep with men anymore. Less women having kids because they don't like men. They want to have careers instead. And I don't know, not my experience. I don't think it's a healthy, like we've said it so many times, what you see online isn't reality in most cases.
It's not the general consensus of the wider world.
It's not most people, but is what people believe is the general consensus because that's what they see online. Again, I don't think it's healthy, like this like animosity between men and women and promoting that online and saying men are only out to manipulate you and have sex with you and that women are just like money grabbing,
gold diggers that don't actually care.
They don't care, they just care about how much you earn. It's just not the case, mate.
No,
it's not my experience.
It's not my experience either. And I don't think it's the general consensus of everybody else. Like it could just be one of those internet things.
It could be, yeah.
So,
and I think it all feeds into like this, what we've been discussing, the dating coaches. Just feels a little bit of a toxic kind of environment at the minute, doesn't it? Online.
It does, yeah.
It's a bit like unhealthy, not realistic, not representative of like most men and women and the relationships they have. Yeah.
Need to go back to putting girls we've just met in MSN bios.
And then removing them when they don't respond.
Yeah, that's it. Oh man,
that's a wrap.
Actually, one thing I was going to say, remember halfway through when I was like, I've just gone brain dead.
Yeah.
I remembered what I was getting.
What is it?
We're talking about tips, right?
Yes.
Just think, the more you tip someone, the less money they have to give to the tax man.
Ooh.
In that pocket, brother.
There you go.
No one knows.
Top tip of the day.
Top tip of the day. Tip.